Welcome to 2026, the year of the horse, which not officially yet, because technically the Chinese zodiac doesn't start till mid-February, but that's the year we're going to be in. Yeah, it's the year of the horse, and the element is fire, so what a perfect time to do this type of feed, which is going to be fire horse, which would be cool, because last year was year of snake. We did the snake with the fire, and the year before that, 2024, was the year of the dragon. We did the blue dragon castle wall. So I figured this should be just a thing I do from here on out every year. I think the first feed with the year of and whatever the element. What I never realized that till recently. So the element for the zodiac this year is fire, and then the animal is horse. So fire horse. So I did up this quick little sketch today. If you saw it earlier, I had it. I can hear myself. Sorry. I did just a quick sketch in Procreate. I put it on my Facebook. Just shows how it, how I just did a quick one. And then if you look at this one here, it is a little bit more fleshed out than that sketch. Happy New Year, Brian. Gary, how's it going? I saw you come in. I was too busy in the sound. Happy New Year, Gary. Happy New Year, Mike. Happy New Year, Brian, and everyone else who's popping in. And Ray Shea is our moderator tonight. So, behave. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's a simple idea. It's cool. I haven't done it. I figured why not start the year off with some fire. It's always a crowd pleaser. It's always a favorite. So what I've done here, if you look at it, it's half skull, kind of like my the half skull like combo characters and stuff. This side I'll have more like fur and kind of the normal eye socket a little bit, and the kind of a fleshy nose. Then it'll transition. Maybe put some more fur over here. And then you'll see more skull. And then obviously you're going to backlight it, so this will be in silhouette. Evan, what's happening? So what we're going to do is we're going to start here in a black panel, right there. It's the black panel. And for those watching on, I guess it's not working there. Huh. Error has occurred. I guess on my vertical stream it's not working. So it defeats the purpose of what I was going to do, because I set this image up for the vertical stream so people on the vertical stream could see it. But I guess it doesn't matter. If someone has an iPhone, pop up and see if it comes up on a vertical stream. Just let me know. It's not showing here. But it might be live. I'm not sure. So let me know. Alright. And obviously we'll thank our supporters and the brands and where we like to get our stuff. Iwata, Coast, Createx, Airbrush Step by Step, Maple, FBS, Visionaire. All these guys are reliable sources to grab stuff from. Reliable products. That's what I like to use. None of these are paid sponsors. Not paying me to do these. These are the brands I like and things I like to support. And then we'll obviously talk Airbrush Step by Step. We got this year. It's coming up this year in May. Going to be in Germany, teaching with some really heavy hitters. Really excited about it. So looking forward to that. Me and Rod have worked together a bunch of times. The other three, Melina, David, and Marissa, never met any of them. And Ansla, and I'll have to learn to pronounce that. You have it both ways, so it's working on that. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it's working. So for those working, this is the reference image that we're going to be working with, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Does this work here? Yo, that does work. Good. Am I filled? So the reason I'm retesting all this stuff, because I didn't know if something was going to work, is I had a big security breach during the holidays, Christmas, and then again on New Year's, and forced me to change and update and secure every password and every website I've ever been on, and lost access to my OneDrive because Microsoft can't reactivate it. And so thousands of files and images and work files and vectors and things I worked on over the years that were stored up there that weren't stored on my physical computer anymore because it was older or just, I needed space, they're gone. So awesome. And that was a great start. So that forced me to, for the past week, to re-go through all this stuff again. So it's been, gotta love it. Gotta love tech and gotta love having to deal with fallout like that. Alright, so let's talk about what we're going to do here. the very first thing we're going to do is transfer the image. And what we have, before we do anything, is we have a 11 by 17 panel. Like, understand what's happening. 11 by 17 aluminum panel, polycore panel. So this is aluminum, PVC with aluminum, okay? I've used these for years, talk about them for years. Really quick. And then I've scuffed this down because these are just already pre-black. And we scuffed this down with the red Scotch-Brite. We have our image here. And how we're going to transfer the image, the best way I like to do it, especially on black, you could use white Sorel, but the problem with white Sorel, this image is going to be super dark if you look at that reference image there. So sometimes the Sorel, when you use the white Sorel, it leaves, it's hard to get rid of that white without going over it, even if you do it very lightly. So I like to just use graphite. And so I use a 6B pencil, like I've done a million times in the past, but I'm just going to go over it one more time. And a ballpoint pen, just a regular old ballpoint pen, and that's going to transfer the image. So let's get that done. Ryan Barkley, Happy New Year. Thanks for popping in. Honey! Happy New Year, honey. We got your Christmas card, thank you so much. Very appreciated. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this down. Now I'm going to have a nice hinge. Just put tape up top. You can't see it on the camera. Just put tape up here so it's hinged. Okay, and then you'll see I got the soft 6B pencil transfer. And like I said, the reason I like doing this, especially on black panels, is you're probably not going to see it. Actually, you can see it. See how it transfers like almost like a reflective graphite? So you can't see it there, but see the side angle, you can see it. So the great thing about this is you can see it when you're painting it, but you don't have to like try to cover it or hide it to the end result. When you clear it, you might see too much white. That's why I like using this. It's just less to deal with. I've always loved Sorel when I first found it, and it was great, but there's always some of those times where I had to, like, especially when it's new, it's too waxy, and it leaves a lot of material behind. And then you gotta fight to get rid of it. But if you look at this, you already see that nice image. So yeah, and you know, I keep forgetting to do it. I usually, when I do this, I try to use a blue or red pen so I can remember where I was already. I was gonna transfer this image and have it already done, kind of like a cooking show, so it was already done, but you know me, I love doing things in real time so you guys can see the actual time it takes. And then some people are like, oh, you just edit it and blah blah blah, and you know, someone's always got something to say. So real-time transfer, you can see the image. See that? You can see it enough, and you'll see it as I go through it. But from this angle, you probably really don't see it well, unless I turn up. If I turn this up, yeah, see, if I turn this up, you can see it. So I do that for a sec, but then it's hard to see that. Always fun dealing with camera angles. All right, so let's do this. And this is the same process I use on motorcycles, cars, you know, obviously illustration in my old panels like this. But it's no different. Like I get people like, oh, you should, you know, do the car or do a motorcycle tank on the channel. You know, they take a lot longer to do, so I don't really do them on the channel. And the flat shapes that look like, you know, a gas tank, yeah, whatever. I don't really like doing those either. I think they're a little cheesy looking. There's some channels that do them. I just think they're cheesy. So, can you see that? Let's see. Yeah, you can see more of it. Oh, I didn't see those. Honey, thank you so much. Yay! What else we got here? Missed another one. N1 GTH233. Thank you so much for that. And if I normally know your name and I don't know that, I'm sorry. If you weren't here, you guys, some of you guys have been wondering. It's called working smarter, not harder. Yes, yes. That people wondering why you're not getting your screen name versus this name like Avis Mendez, Gary Shees, 1965. They're changing the structure of what it's viewed. So you're eventually, they haven't rolled it out yet. I talked about this on my last feed. You're going to be able to respond to other people during chat like an kind of like on Facebook when you get into a thread and you can message that person individually. That's coming to YouTube, and I think that's going to be good. Especially if I have like a moderator, someone asks a question, they can like respond directly to that person, which is really nice, versus like, you know, having to find out like who's responding to who, things like that. So yeah, so that's why you're seeing the versus your channel name, because you have that's what it is, the username and your channel name. So you're gonna start seeing that more and more. I wish they could just leave the channel name and then have that work, but there's probably some code reason why it won't work that I don't get, nor do I care to get. And these hairs are just for kind of reference. This here, this wiggle, this is kind of this is where I'm going to have my light hit, my key light hit here, and a little bit here. I'm going to have some light coming down on the shoulder, on the neck, I mean, onto the shoulder here. You know, but this process, the way I'm doing it, this is what I find is one of the best way to transfers, and it's really great when you got a freehand or do a mix of freehand and you know, either plot or loose masking or things like that. This is also a really great technique if you sheet tape your panel first and then you want to transfer the image to that. It works really good. So now if you look here, you can see that image is transferred really nice. It's really easy to see. You know, so that's the benefit to this. But if you're going to clear over it, it doesn't take much to kind of hide it. So that's the best part about this transfer method. Okay. And then because I transfer through there, I just realized this fell on the floor. I'm starting groaning a lot tonight, but I got an issue with like my thigh, like the muscles pulled and having trouble like moving around easy. Alright, so then what you're going to do is I printed this twice, just as regular printer paper. I know I'm going to get asked that. I just use a regular, decent weight, heavyweight paper. You can get cardstock too, but it gets expensive in this size. It's 11 by 17. My printer does up to 12 by 18, but it likes 11 by 17 better. So 11 by 17, I printed it out. I transferred this, and then I cut the other one, okay? So the other one becomes my silhouette like that, okay? And now this will line up to everything, like that. And I had it lined to the corner, So everything should be good. And I got the registration good. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the background, fire glow, and then I'll work the details in here. Mr. Leahy, Happy New Year, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Much appreciated. So what I'm going to do, just to keep this, so I can kind of keep lifting it and moving it around. So I'm going to tape this down to the corner after I'm registered in here. Just here like this. Just to one side. And that's going to allow me to kind of lift it and pivot it. Just need to adjust it once more so it's not quite where I want it. And so that's basically what I did. I cut the silhouette here like that. Because like I said, I'm going to work that background. We already got black, so I don't need to spray black. So I'm going to work the fire. Now, how I'm going to work this tonight, I know I'm not going to finish this tonight. So this will be a two-parter. So depending where it lies, I might do Monday night wrap up, or we'll continue next Thursday. But we're going to do this first stage of the fire, and we're just going to block it in loose. And this goes to the whole Mike LaValle loose to tight, dark to light. So all I'm going to do tonight is the loose background fire, not even much registration, not much detail, or even loose stencils. It's really just going to be a kind of a glow. And then we'll start working on the horse in like a black and white. Then once all that's established, when we start cutting detail, that's when we bring in the transparents and the candies and things like that. So tonight's more about the underpainting and the structure. This is a great way to start a painting like this, because what you end up with is you can ease your way into it, you can kind of build the structure, and you're not overly committed. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here, let's see here, hold on a second. The first thing what I'm going to do is, where is my, I'm going to switch to the wide shot. Hi guys. We have our paint mixed up here, and remember these, I still have these. This is my gray, white, and black mix. These are going on over a month and a half now, and they're still working perfect. So the process of straining it multiple times and reducing it nice and running it through the strainer and putting in these glass with a shaker has really worked out great. Thank you, Gerald Mendez, for the tips on that. And what I've mixed for colors tonight here is Wicked Opaque Red, the Wicked Opaque Orange, and Pyrrole Yellow. I might not even use the yellow, just mix it up. And this is the purple, okay? All I'm going to do is the loose red, orangey glow, maybe a little purple in the eyes and there. And that's really all I'm going to do about the fire tonight. Because I don't need to do all the fire in motion, and I'm not going to get bogged down in that. And this is where people starting to learn real fire for the first time. This is where you guys get bogged down, is you're focusing too much on what the fire looks like at the end result, and you want those wisps and you want that structure, and that's where the biggest mistake everyone makes, is they get in and they want to shape the fire too early instead of shaping the glow. And so all we do tonight is establish that glow and that structure, kind of where the fire is going to be. Remember, I've always said when you do fire, you want your darkest, loosest color as wide as you can. That's your ultimate glow. And then every other lighter color should work inside it and get more structure, more detailed as you go through it. So you don't need to overly commit to it that quick. Hold on a second. I got to do something here that's screwing me up. Because I just noticed I got to stop the recording. And now I gotta record on the other one. Okay, I have two different hard drives, so one was almost full. I didn't empty it beforehand. Sorry about that. And I just saw a bid from Honey at $200. Thank you for that. I'll give you a little bam, 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 bam. Is at $200, which is the first bid of 2026. Thank you. Fire is still difficult. Fire is difficult. And the major reason is everyone wants to have the final look too soon. Okay? Or gets excited. They want to do, oh, the fire's going to look like this. You don't want that to the end, near towards the end. So what I show you tonight is a great way to start working. Just keep it really loose. And then we're going to build this, and then once we want the fire to be fire, that's when you start getting into all the nuanced detail. But take your time, build it slow. Let me get back out to here. Got that angle. Okay, so we have our silhouette. All I'm going to do is a fiery glow, which, like I said, I'm going to use the opaques. And I'm just going to run that through my plus, or you can just run it through an eclipse, just It's what I got the handiest. I'm not even going to use any loose shields at this point. On this first red stage, if you ever watch when Mike did it later, in his early days he still used them a little bit at the beginning, but realistically he almost never used it towards like after like maybe the first 30%. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is just a pure opaque red, and I'm just going to run this glow here. I gotta tone this camera down. Too bright. There we go. There we go. That's what it actually really looks like. The camera was too bright. Okay, so all I'm gonna do here is really, and if you want more coverage faster, you could put a white down first. I don't really like to in most cases. And with if you're using solvents, it covers a little bit better than this. But realistically, all I'm doing is I can go in and you can do a couple little noodle lines like that if you want for later, because you're not really going to see it. And you can kind of plan things out. But realistically, all I'm doing here is kind of the glow. That's all I'm focusing on. So all the lighter colors can work inside, and the darker it gets back here, it's just going to go to straight black. I'm going to put a little bit in here. These are going to be, you can have a little bit of fire glow, and you'll see that at the end. When you get to fine things like this, don't blow up like this, because you'll blow them up. Kind of go with them. And again, this is all going to be free-handed anyway, so you can really just structure a little bit and kind of practice what your fire is going to be. But none of this is really going to matter. It's just the foundation. Okay, that's all this is. Okay, and basically, the more of this I put on is my final glow. So everything from here on out should work with inside it. So I'm going to do this color here. It's going to be pretty far out. Then I'm actually going to put the purple out here now, which when I do automotive, I usually do it at the end. But I found with illustrations like this, I kind of like to build a little structure in early. You can put little, you said practice things like that. But again, it's just the glow. Nothing but the glow. And no candy yet. I don't need candy yet. Putting candy now, it's not really needed. Again, when you go to Mike's original videos back in the day, he would go opaque red, red candy, opaque orange, red candy, opaque orange, orange candy, blah, blah, back and forth, back and forth. The later he worked, he realized it was over. He didn't need to do all that, so he would do opaque red, opaque orangey, maybe even some yellow, and then put candy red and orange over the top of that. And then he would do the next stage. So he kind of changed it up a little bit as he went. Because that's how art evolves. You figure one way to start it, and then you do another version. Now I'm going to go to my opaque orange. And this isn't even that necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway, just so there's a little bit of something there. You could tighten up here. You could use a stencil. I'm not going to. I'm just going to hit like where this is going to be. Some turbulence here. And maybe this establishes a little more shape for the fire. But it's predominantly red out here. I haven't gone past the red. You've noticed that. I've stayed within what I got. Oh yeah, always use purple. But we usually use the purple at the end with a pearl. Very rarely are we using purple at the beginning. I've been doing it a little bit more often like this, just for the hell of it. But when Mike was using House of Color, when he was painting, I want to say it was PBC 23 or 40 something, and it was a nice purple pearl, or we'd use a really thin passion pearl. You can even, like so, we can put a little bit of yellow in here now. I'm gonna spit some paint in there like that, because that'll be fun. Yeah, mixing stick. Here, we're just gonna blow a little. Little fire, and again here. None of this is gonna matter. This is gonna be candied later. But if you need to kind of see your shape and your fire. Alfred Guzman, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Does red have a purple shift on black? Not really. The purple shift you're seeing here is more from the studio lighting on the camera angles than the actual color. Because it's kind of the blue. If you look here, see, like right here, this is all blue background lighting. So that's going to catch a little bit on there. Yes, the Wood Tiger, yeah. Because I was born in '74. In June, and I would have been, I think it was a Wood Tiger for '74. Which, like I said, I never knew any of that until tonight. So, the yellow, like I said, it's just there for the hell of it. I actually don't love having it there right now, because I think it interrupts some of the background, but... I'm going to take some of that out, just because it's bugging me. Okay. And... just to show you what it does, now I'll put a little of the purple out there. And it's really not going to matter, but it's just going to kind of be there. I don't even think it's going to show up on camera. Doesn't really show up. Right, doesn't show up at all. I don't think on this side. Yeah, maybe a little bit here. I don't think I have a brighter light. You can maybe see it if I bring that up, but eh. Cool. That's fine. So now what you'll see when I take this, now you have the nice silhouette of where the horse is going to be, right? The other thing I did is, you see this little piece of tape? I actually cut this. There's got to be more bone here, structure, so I'm just going to go like this. I got to pull this off here. And then I'll use the neodymiums, because they'll hold everything in place. And all I'm going to do is with this orange here, is I'm just going to hit out here, like the fire's going to kind of be glowing, like from his neck and kind of getting on here. I'm going to put a lot more purple here down the road. And that should be good just to lay out the structure. Now we have the nice silhouette. So you see how if someone walks into your shop or studio, they already get a fire feel. Okay? You already kind of have the fire feel without spending a lot of time worrying about the shape of the fire or how it goes or things like that. Now, because the hair is wispy and you're going to see fire through it, I can just mist a little red in here now. Like I said, it's going to be mostly purples in here, and I'm going to worry about that when I get there. Alright. There's two ways to do this. And I'm going to do it this way. You could do it... I'm going to do this all with a white and gray, because I'm going to use transparent washes, and bring all the bone texture and everything out bright. The other way to do it is to stay in the reds and oranges, yellows this whole time and keep it all there and not rely on any transparent candies and things like that. I want to bring up the contrast and kind of really detail everything and bring it up. So I'm going to use a mix of my white and gray. So I'm going to start with the gray, and then I'll bring the highlights up. Because those colors are going to be nice to put semi-transparent washes or candies of purples and reds and oranges when we start going into the glow. Alright, so this goes from your red, this goes from like your red view to, it's going to be kind of bright, and then we're going to tone it together. And you'll see in the process how that's going to work, and it's a really nice way to do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my SB here. I'm grab my Micron. Fire Dragon, yeah, so 2020, if you go back to my 2024 January feed, Mike, that is the Dragon Castle, which is all blue fire. And if you were to go back and look at it, it'd be the same, really, processing techniques. Yes, definitely not like, blah, blah, blah. Like, share, subscribe, and get dirty. Oh, I like that. Might have to use that, man. Thank you for that. And with that being said, I haven't done this yet. I haven't thanked all my down and dirty tricksters. Thank you, everyone. We got a bunch of new members as well. We got Chris, Corey Carafi, Sam, Brad Mass, Marco, Mike, Satsukowski. I'm just gonna say that's as close as I'm gonna get. Jonathan Parr's been here for a couple of times, so I think, yeah. So we got more members, so don't forget you get your 24% off anything in the store, all the digital downloads and content. My little daubers aren't working. That's weird. Huh. Alright. I guess I'm just going to pour it then. And I'm going to start with the gray as opposed to white, because then I can mess with contrast. Magnets are going through the aluminum. That is correct. If I missed... Oh, did you say that's aluminum panel? What kind of magnets stick to aluminum? I get everyone with that for the first couple times. Yeah, this background, let me take this off. Thank all the members. Make sure you join, get the discounts. Okay, this easel is a steel plate, okay? This is aluminum panel. These are freaking strong-ass magnets, and they'll stick through the aluminum. Yeah, they are. These are the stronger neodymiums. Like, these guys are strong, and they work, but they're barely, like, look, I can just move them around, and they roll off. These ones here are a little stronger. If I was to use, like, one of these, like, these cheapo magnets, they barely stick. They just barely stick. So, these heavyweight neodymiums are great, because they'll really get in there. Yep. Okay. So hopefully... So we got our gray. And honestly, this is where the freehand comes in, okay? So what I'm going to start doing now is I decided not to make this a plottable project. It's really, you know, mostly about freehand. I could make this into a plottable. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Kowski. Ah, okay, got it. I grew up with a friend of mine, artist Rob Bezelowitz, and yeah, when you looked at his name, it was hard to figure it out. So I apologize if I butchered it. So I could make this plottable if you guys are interested. If anyone's interested, let me know. I'll consider putting it up. It's the Visionary easel, in case you were wondering which one. Oh yeah, yep, the Visionary one. This guy right there. That's the easel I'm using. So like I said, I have enough here, but if you want to work like a little bit, you know, using the paper, because what I can do now is the opposite. I'm just going to fold this back. Because now if I want to kind of bring the contrast up on this side, this is going to be mostly candied later, I can kind of just hit that edge and bring that out. And then we're going to be using a lot of, oops, I'm going to really thin this down. Yeah, these are amazing easels. And let me go to my wide shot here. So the way it works, and all my overhead stuff is hooked to it. And there's more stuff down here that's part of it. I can't even really show it to you all, but it's a really nice easel. I got cams here I can loosen. You can put it back or put it up. He's got so many attachments for this, and these are available at Coast Airbrush. If you're in Canada, Maple, and I think Spray Gunner carries them as well. But if you're in the UK, they're easily gettable. They're out of stock now at Coast. They should be getting more in. The stock has been a little difficult because of tariffs and everything else. Rumor is they're going to be able to start manufacturing them, or a lot of the components here in the US, so it'll keep costs down, and you won't have to be shipping parts from the UK. So hopefully that all happens in the near future. Yeah. Okay, so I just over-reduced. I'm going to grab a little texture effects here. I want to put like a little bit of bone texture and stuff. So I'm going to use one of Jarl's. I can just come in here like this. We can just hit some of it. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm 18. How's your camera set up? Oh, Bravo Brush works. So if you're new to the channel, you haven't been in much, I'll give you anyone new for 2026 a quick look at the studio setup. So I run this studio switcher here. It's a Blackmagic switcher that I can have up to 8 inputs, 8 cameras, other sources. What I have here is 5 cameras. I got camera 1 here, which switches, and if I pop up here, you can actually see what I see. So if you look up here, I can see each camera. This is the feed itself, what you guys are seeing. This is the next camera in line. Here's my sound, everything else. So if I go to camera 1 and I hit audio, it switches like that, and then it switches back. Camera 2, same thing. I can go here. Camera 4, then I can go back to the wide shot. I can go to my video play, which does all this stuff. And I have a few other contraptions hooked up. And then I can also go to these multi-views that I have keyed in, and that's all done. This is the quick studio tour. That's all done down here. I have different keys. So when someone asks me about the Visionaire, I can hit this button and bring up the downstream key for that. Or I can bring in the title screens or that screen, or move that into place, in and out. Thank my members. So all this is keyed down here. So yeah, that's how the system is. And then the cameras are up. I have a camera straight up here above me. This is the down cam. I have a camera off to the side, 3/4. And then up here is the teleprompter. There's a camera behind that. And then this one here is a wide angle GoPro. So that is the system and how it works. Yeah, it's got a lot. A lot of stuff going on. So now what I can do is just kind of focus. Try to figure out how to just go with laptop and phone cameras. So the best thing, honestly, start with just use your iPhone. iPhones work. They're super easy. They take very good video. If you want to start mixing in multiple cameras, you either have to do it software by using like OBS Studio. And what you do is you'll plug your phone or other cameras into your computer, and you'll arrange that, and the software will do a lot of the work, and that has to hook to your stuff. Mine's a hardware system, which is more stable. It's less taxing on your computer because it does all the work. But the price of entry is a little higher because you need to get the switcher. If you're going to start doing live feeds, focus on the content, consistency, and just use your iPhone or single camera and go from there. If you're going to go live. If you're going to be doing edits, then you can just use whatever you want. But if you want help, just let me know. You can mess with me inside. I'd be happy to help you. But yeah, you know, and there's really simple ways to do like tech where you have your laptop on screen and then you use your iPhone or another camera to do like picture-in-picture. You can run a lot of that through OBS. It's a very lightweight way to do it. But yeah. Okay, so again, I could, if I wanted to, I could cut more of this out and bring different sections in like that, or I could just freehand. So if I wanted to, maybe I should, from a, not beginner standpoint, but from an ease standpoint, it might be easier for you guys to grasp this process. I just gotta have another cutting mat that I don't have handy. Oh, I can use this one. There we go. Let me grab a cutting mat and I'll show you this approach. So what I could do is just take a simple cutting mat. Let me get the blade here. So I like working live. We just switch things up as we go. It wasn't part of the plan. Okay. So what you can do, I can start working with this one here. I'm going to cut the whole skull out like this, up to the ears. And we'll do the hair. Do is I'm just going to pop this out like that. And now what I'll do, I'm going to stick this down. Again, I'll use these magnets on the aluminum. We can just get that into position like this. Not quite. All right, there we go. And now I could just do this, and we'll hit the ear. We'll hit this. And just put a little texture, little bone texture like that. But not too much. I don't want to lose the detail I got going there, or the edges. And see, now it starts to kind of bring out where the face is. Yeah, I use just my phone for a long time. For years, all my live feeds from the World of Wheels with my phone. All that stuff. So, yeah, phones work just fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. In some ways, I don't regret it, but in some ways I do. I regret that I got this system so overly complicated, which is great for you guys because you can see all the multiple angles and all the stuff, and it's fun and it's great, but man, it puts a lot of work ahead of time on me. Whereas if I never started it, no one would know the difference. Never wrong, I love doing it, but sometimes it's a lot. So now what I can do is I got the cheekbone out here. See, I can just hit that a little bit for placement if I needed it. And this is if you don't really have the freehand skill down yet, or you don't want to do that and you want to build some structure. This is a great way to kind of get your bearings like that. You know what I mean? It just kind of gives you that structure, it keeps it clean. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I love the system, but like I said, it creates a lot of work. All right, so I got my base structure here. I'm just going to start toning some things out, keeping a light source in mind. And here's the thing, I'm not really working from anything other than a rough sketch. So I can bring up my reference image here. Actually, let me bring up, for you guys watching on iPhone, it should be nicer for that. That's the sketch I'm working on. So you see what I'm doing here, if you look at the rough concept, this is the brighter side, and then we'll have some purplish glows here to this side, and this will mostly be in silhouette. Brian, thank you for that. What weight does that paper use? It's just regular like printer paper weight. It's on the heavier side. It might be like a, I don't know. It's a nice quality printer paper. This is a micron, I think. Yes. Probably what? 60 pound, 30? No, it's not even 60 because the cardstock starts at 60. So it's just a regular, heavyweight paper. Not cardstock. Okay, so what I'm doing now is thinking of a skull, and I don't have a horse skull, but I'm thinking of a human skull. The cheekbone here, because this is the cheek. Basically, here's your eyebrow. So I want to get this on the brighter side here. Okay. So the top's brighter, and then under here's brighter as it comes down to the teeth. The two sockets are the same skulls as human skulls. I'll come up from the tooth and just kind of work my way up from the edge of the tooth up. And I'm just getting a little bit of tone. Remember, this is gray, so the nice thing is I can add white to make it brighter as I go. Where is... I wish I had a bigger table. Oh. So if you look at this, I can get what the bottom teeth are by taking these top and just hitting the edge. And I can get the separation. So I know that here's the tooth itself. I'm going to do some wide, kind of almost like a wide dagger. I've heard people refer to it as like a pillow stroke. I don't know if that's right. But it's just like a soft dagger. So I know where the teeth are. And I'm just kind of putting in the middle. And it's giving me enough delineation. And now the bottoms, I can hit the bottoms of those. And I can cut back in later with some detail. I'm not overdoing it here. Remember, the skull's going to be really dark, so a lot of the stuff still isn't going to be even really seen. This is set up so I can darken it down with candy. Because the brighter this is, the brighter the red and orange will be. Let's hit this ear. Like I said, tonight is really just the establish of the painting, the underpainting, the structure. And we'll start getting things set up. So Monday there'll be a lot more, or when I do it, we'll have like all the coloring. But this year, I've been frustrated, and I'm just going to accept the fact that I've been doing more complex paintings. I always like to finish a painting in 2 hours, and it's just not believable to constantly be trying to doing a new painting every week in 2 hours. So I'm really going to kind of spread these out a little more in 2026, so it doesn't have to be done in one sitting, and we'll build structure. And I'm even considering doing some parts live. I might record a couple components off camera during the week that are a little tedious, and then I'll just bring those up in a video. I got some changes this year I like to do, and I'm open to suggestions as well. I'd like to give you guys some more recorded content because I can show more stuff on a recorded where I can edit like tedious stuff out and make like more 20-minute videos and things like that. And I think people would like it. Let me know what you guys think. So this is mostly going to be black hair, and I'm just going to kiss a little bit on here. So when I have some black, because I'm going to carve a lot of this hair with black after I do the candy, or after I do like more kind of color overlay, and then we'll carve out the details. So the beginning stages is really just mapping out where the brights are, so I can set up for other colors. Get some hair here, and how the neck comes down like this. There's going to be a little bit of fire, kind of key light up here on the neck. Because I can't just leave it black here. There needs to be something carved detail. So just a little mist of this gray is going to give me the ability to add color and tint and tone over this. And that's kind of the neck structure itself, where the hair is going to come around. So that'll catch some light. And horses are very smooth here. I've been around horses for years, my daughter riding, so definitely got a good feel for their reflective nature. When they're cut down, the hair's short, they're very slick. Doing that. But not bad for the first hour, kind of get things set up and established. So now I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut this back, cut here, and this is going to kind of, this is going to be darker, so this will help me kind of frame the skull itself, because this is going to have some purple light here. Kind of here's the muzzle. The nostrils come down here. Now you can start to see this. Yeah, so in here, like, right here is about where the collarbone would be, like, kind of your clavicle, the muscle. And kind of go both ways here like this, and like the light's coming around this way here, and as it comes around this way, it's actually going the other way, so it's kind of coming down the back, and there's going to be hair in the mane, it's going to be like here. But this is all just rough setup. I'm not trying to get too detailed yet. Just really loose setup. And this is when you're working from not a full reference, you know, you're gonna have to take some time and plan things out. Kind of figure out the hair's coming from here. This ear is right here like this. Let's establish the back side of the ear, and then that's the inside. And that hair is going to come over like this. Again, like I said, this is just using gray, thin down, and just kind of establishing a rough underpainting to work from. I know technically the artwork's not really underpainting, but it's just it is really rough. Like, I gotta figure out, I'm not happy with how much I put there, but I know that's gonna be darkened down with candy or transparent red, so I'm not gonna stress. I should have done this with this red, but I don't want to do it right now. Because what I can do is I can kind of do a little wash over this. A little more here. A little bit of hair catching light on this side. That's the mane kind of coming around. I know there's a lot of people who paint animal portraits, and they'll sit here and do, there's going to be fur here, and they'll just do fur by fur by fur. It's a great method. I don't have the patience for it. We can put something like where the star of the horse would be, with a little bit of fur. But see how it's all just getting established. Because now what I'm going to do, oh, I haven't seen that. Is it back? It's both, really. I mean, there really isn't a top. So it's backlit is the brightest glow, but you're always going to have some like rim lighting, and that's going to kind of be from the side. Nothing's really coming from top down too much, and this is going to get really dark. So, can my first just go there? Great solo. Oh man, that's awesome, James. Appreciate you buying those and working with them. And yeah, there's a whole lot of videos on that. I'll have to try to find you on social and take a look. Feel free to message me. Okay. So, to answer your Tater about the lighting, it's mostly going to be a backlit glow. And if you look at the reference image, you can see what I mean. The backlighting is the main source of light. There's going to be some purple keel, some side lighting and rim lighting coming in just to kind of frame it. And then the other source of lighting is obviously coming from the eyes. And they're lighting up like the cheekbones and here. So it's all residual light. There's no direct, straight down light source. If we had that, the skull would be really bright. That's why I'm keeping everything in darks. This is obviously much brighter now. But it is, I have to bring the contrast up. When you're doing candies and transparency, you got to bring the contrast up to knock it back down with color. So I'm going to bring this really bright, and then we're going to start knocking it back as we go through. I've talked about it a lot of times, it's that push-pull. So now I'm going to go to white. I'm going to make this pretty thin. Again, this is that 60-40 mix. This is 60%, it's actually 60% reduce. Oh no, which was this? Yeah, 60% paint, 40% reducer to start. And then what I'll do is I'll make it even thinner for my super details. That's kind of how I'll work it. So with this white now I can come in and say, okay, this eye is going to be glowing this part a lot more. So I can kind of start coming in. We're going to hit that a little bit more, get it glowing. I work very soft at this stage. I'm not trying to like smash in details. Oh, I think my... You're welcome, Tater. And this is where I'll start adding like some little pick details like highlights. And here's the thing, I don't know the exact steps and how. I'm going by feel here, what I think is going to work. And I work it as I go. You got to remember that some of my how-tos I do, and a lot of guys in the industry who do the class projects and the way I've done them, or when I teach at a seminar, I've painted that in a lot of cases a time or two, so I know exactly what color to do at what stage to get the effect so we can get the project done in a timely fashion and you guys can have a win. It's, and I'm saying this word just to say it, it really isn't, but I'm simplifying it or I'm dummy proofing it so you don't have to go through the steps I did to figure out and erase and go back and forth. I kind of figured that out the first time, and when I paint the second time, I know go here, there, then next. This painting, and a lot of times when I do my live feeds, I've never painted it before, and you're seeing in real time how I'm working it out and figuring. And your questions along the way helps me go, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing it, or I got to explain why I'm doing it, so it makes more sense. And that way, if I was going to teach this, like in a live session, or do it again, I'd be able to do it half the time and teach it, more effectively. There's an art to that itself, and it's what a lot of instructors don't show you that process. They show you, how to do it successfully the first time out, which is great. But there's a whole nother art to the process of figuring out the order of operations, what should come first, what part you do second. Because sometimes the first time I paint something, I did it one way, and then I go to paint it, I do it another time. I know when me and Rhino taught classes before, because we did so many, we did over almost 40 unique projects at the Rendezvous. And a lot of times we paint it and think we're going to do it one way, then we get on the side, like, oh no, if we do it this way, then we got to mask it off the other way, we got to double mask it, we got to let it dry. So what we should have done is we should have done this color first and then that color, and it would have been faster. So that's how a lot of classes work out. And then the second time you teach it, it's much easier. But what me and Rhino did a lot, and I did a lot, I almost never duplicated a project, so everyone was figuring it with me along the same time, which I think was beneficial to a lot of people. Okay, so let's get these teeth really white. Those teeth are white. So I'm going to just hit these. And that's the thing. Every time you airbrush, it should be an experiment to a point. You should be able to, obviously, it's, they use the term in Deadpool, like an educated wish or something like that. You should be experimenting with some aspects of it and using what you've learned in other ones to kind of fill those gaps in and get to the job faster. You're not doing it blind every time, but you should, almost every painting should be a little bit of a, kind of a push. To a degree. I mean, when I'm working for a customer, if I'm doing real fire, I kind of know my steps and how I'm going to do it for a customer. Okay, how I'm going to do it in this job, I'm going to hit this color first here, I'm going to hit this color there, I'm going to do this, and very little guesswork or experimentation when I'm on a job like that, because I've worked it out, especially if I'm on the road doing it. And those are the oil changes. Those are the more cookie cutter jobs, or you can get a lot done in a short time. But some paintings like this, illustrations where I'm figuring out for the first time, I got to work it out. So I got to slow down and maybe change my thought process and walk away from it a little bit. And that's kind of the hard part when I'm doing live. I can't go, I don't like the way this is coming out, let me take a break. Just walk away from you guys. Trust me, I've done paintings live and I know I'm messing it up, and it's like I'd like to just stop right then and there and walk away, and I can't. But that's helped me in my own right, just to work a little looser and then tighten up as I go. Because if I work loose, if you work loose at this stage, because I'm not in a race, I'm not on a customer's timeline, so I can just play a little bit, I can walk away, just kind of see what I'm going to do. Kind of figure out the hair direction. Most of this is going to be gone anyway because I'm going to black it out. Live feeds are challenging. I got no place to hide. Like when I do a workshop, You know, if a project during a live workshop isn't going exactly the way I want it, I have time to adjust, and I can say, okay, everyone, take a 5-minute break, lunch break, go grab a smoke, you know, and we'll come back at it. And a lot of times I'll use that time to kind of go, okay, how do I want to do this? You know, so unless I've done the painting a bunch of times before. And a lot of times what I would do with illustrations like this, what I might do sometimes to work out a problem is I'll take a picture of this, I'll bring this into Photoshop or Procreate or Sketchbook Pro and test a few things. Honey, thank you so much. Thank you for the bid. That still stands at 200. We'll continue that on. I'm only going to probably do another 15 minutes max on this. I'm not going to do a full 2 hour tonight. Because I'm at the stage on this where I want to look at it and figure out my next steps. So, and that's what I mean. Like, this is a great time to kind of just figure that structure out. And okay, if I do this here, I got a little bone here. I gotta figure out the hair direction. Pet portraits are very challenging. You really have to get that hair down. These little wispy dagger strokes. Figure out what I want to do. If I look at the sketch, there's like a hard line right here. The neck is going to come down. I'm going to catch a lot of light here. And then this neck is twisted around here like this. And it's catching more light here. So this is what I always liked about watching Mike work. Mike was so good about working loose to tight and just kind of picking out highlights, how things bounce, and then he would just go in for kill shots, you know. And all of a sudden, he'd go from something that looks loose and, you know, man, it looks good, you can see it coming, then all of a sudden it just looks awesome. Jaro Mendez is like that as well, and I've been trying to get better at that process myself of, like, just working a little loose and then tightening it up when it matters. Yeah, man, it just takes time. It's just repetitiveness. Because now with this on it, maybe I can do a little bit. So what I would normally do, I don't have it mixed up here. If you have transparents, this is where you can start adding some transparent to it, kind of tone things out a little bit. But I'm not really going to do that. What I think I'm going to do, I don't want to waste this white, it's in such good shape. I'm going to put this back in my bottle. I'll just save it. You know, I've never worked with eyedropper glass until recent. It's actually really nice. I just sucked all that paint back out. What's the plan to darken it? Since you're like I'm not doing highlights per se. This is where final highlights are gonna go, so I'm just working on the tone and the value. Think of this stage as value shading, okay? And what I can do now, and I will do a little bit of it. I can take my black, but I would start doing some transparents, just like I said, I'm not all mixed up. But I can do this now if I want, because again, this is just kind of the underpainting to establish the values of dark and light, nothing's for final detail. Freehand's great. I love mixing in freehand with, bringing in a paper stencil, like by cutting the reference images, like I'm doing here. Just, I love that process for things like this. Like I can come in, and so I could take this, and here's the top teeth, and to establish it, I could take the black, and I could just use this as a stencil, and I could carve that detail in a little bit. This process I love. And then for more structured stuff, I love using the plotter. So there's a million techniques, and the key is to learn as many as you can and get proficient at them. So I could go in and I could detail this depth and kind of cut things back like this right now, and do almost like a full black and white painting, and then start running glazes over it with candies. Or I can go halfway in between and just do a little bit of this, and maybe I'll do that for the next couple minutes. I'll establish like a black and white, painting that we're going to color wash over, but it's still going to be a mid-tone. Not going to be final, but this could help establish some underlying details and really kind of figure out where the contrast needs to be before you start going in for color. So I know that here is the cheekbone and how it relates to this, and I can almost go all black here and really push that silhouette underneath. And this will be a high contrast painting that we can establish. You can establish tints over. But usually, a lot of cases, what I'll do is I'll start to blend a little red and orange transparent over this, and then start carving this black. But if you use a true transparent candy, you can kind of do this anytime. It's preference, but for tonight, I'll work a little bit of this in. Silhouette the inside of that eye socket, so it makes you kind of understand that the light's emitting. And when the light emits from a hole, like right next to it, is not catching any light because the light's coming through. So you get a nice dark edge. Ray Shay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities to digital art nowadays, the way you paint and you build value structure. Because the digital art now is done more like traditional, whereas when digital first came out, the computers used a lot of tricks. But then as computers got better, you started to be able to do overlay glazes and things like that. And you would work in a value, black and gray, and then start tinting over it, with different gradations and wash but you can do it in the computer. So the computers, you can almost work, I can work a painting with the exact same process here versus the computer, and almost do the same layers. Which is why AI is getting really good, because it's starting to be able to use the tools and the processes, and you know, it's probably studying the way we paint. I paint this. Is that kind of cheekbone underneath. I want to put this jaw in a lot more silhouette under here, and basically do that value shading. You know, just, and that's going to set up for the washes. So I can and that actually work out good. I'll do it this way. Whereas I'm going to do it like a black and white, then I'll do like very thin candy washes over everything and get kind of the tone, and then we'll get all the final brights after that. Just slowly working this painting up. Like, I gotta double check this ear and how an ear really looks. Do you ever use AI for different ideas? Very rarely. I use AI for like my lettering and stuff like that. Not my lettering, but like my descriptions and web pages and things like that. I've messed around with taking some of my sketches, feeding them in, and saying, you know, what does this look like in blue tones? And yeah, I'm just not ready to kind of go there and use that like that and train it, but it has its place as a way to work out things, and I'm still kind of on the fence on where I want to use it and how, or if at all. I'm not anti-AI, but I'm anti like typing in a few ideas, having the AI image spit out and saying, this is my design. It's not your design. It was your idea. It's not your art. Now, if you use that and kind of create an idea and get some tests of different things, and then say, okay, now I'm going to take those ideas and I'm going to actually do my own painting version of it with my own spin and my own take, and I use some ideas to test some theories out. That's different. But it's a very nuanced argument. So, yeah, it has a place. You know, if you go online and pick up 10 pictures of horse skulls and trace it and throw some colors at it, it's kind of the same thing as letting AI do it. So it's just, not saying it's wrong. It just depends what you're doing. Bobby, it just takes time. It's just a lot of practice. And you gotta remember, like, I've been doing this for 37 years this year. I started in '89. So I've had an airbrush in my hand for that long. So you tend to get, my early days was in the Wallace Paint t-shirt, so it was always live. You know, I was always used to painting in front of people and kind of having that little added pressure of, don't mess it up. Someone's going to laugh at you. Oh, I'm going to laugh at you. So, And fortunately, I've been able to do it for so many years and just hone my skills and get better and better. And yeah, you can use proportion in a pose. It's a great idea. Like when I've done some like female portraits and stuff, is like, you know, positioning. I've used programs like Poser and DAWS 3D where I'll put something in a pose and kind of work that as a reference. The thing for me with AI is it comes down to is AI in the final image? Like the final process of what you're using. If you use it as a mood board to generate an idea, that's almost like anything. That's like just like doing a bunch of images and kind of getting a feel for it. But you're not like photocopying those ideas into your final piece. That's where it kind of changes. So, yeah, it's a broad discussion. And the problem is you can't have the nuanced discussion online on social media, because you're going to get, you know, some purists that say this. It's the same time when you get into like, oh, I use a plotter sometime, and some guy's like, you cheat, you use a plotter, you're not a freaking artist. You know, you're always going to get that stuff online. And it's usually by people who don't do it for a living that just have ideas on how they would do it if they actually had skill or talent, but they love to gatekeep. So, and then there's some artists I know that don't use any reference. They don't use photo reference. They don't open a book. They don't look at a book. They don't look at. They understand anatomy inside and out. They spent years honing their craft, and that's amazing. And I'm happy for those guys. You know, it was like Frank Frazetta was such a master of anatomy. He didn't have to have someone sit and take a photo with lighting to get that position. Whereas, you know, Boris's work, a lot of it, he would get a model, a live model, they would stage the shot, stage the lighting to get a feel for it. And the end result was both artists did amazing paintings. You know, and if you're a more purist with no photo, then you like Frazetta's work better. If you like the idea of testing stuff out in photos and work from a photo reference, you know, to get precision lighting and know your piece, it's not wrong either way. It's a preference. And when you're doing it for a business, if that's the other thing, you're doing it to make a living, you got to work with what the client wants on the timeline. And I've had companies that I've worked with that their designers might be using AI to rough the concept up and then give me to say, hey, we want something like this. You know, put your own spin on it. You know. But, you know, they worked out what they want. It's a different animal. So, yeah. Yeah, look, it just comes down to, Brian, the thing with me with AI versus stencils is, stencils are a great tool. AI is a tool. The end result of the image should not, if the end result of the image is exactly as the stencil looked, or from the creator of the stencil, then it's a cool painting. It's not an original piece of art you did. It's a nice variation or rendition of that. AI is the same thing. If you just fed everything in AI and you copied it verbatim, then it's the AI image. The difference is using it in what portion of it lasts. It's kind of the ship of Theseus discussion. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it can go either way. Yeah. Well, no, realism isn't copying per se. There's different levels of realism. There's photorealism with exactly as the photo was, and you copy it, and there's a skill set to the end result. There's also realism where you're just looking at something, a photo for a reference, but you're doing everything, you're not copying it dot by dot, line by line. And there's hyperrealism, which is that extended. It's not black and white. It's not, you know, if you got to have the nuance in there. Realism is not copying per se. And the term realism was painting from the moods you see in life, and it has a sense of realism. Photorealism is when you copy a photo to the exact, with very little variation. And then there's everywhere between. You know, but there's a level. Like, I'm not gonna get too much into this hair right here. That's what I'd like to do if I have it. Do I have this? Yeah. I'd like to put a kind of a drop shadow under this to where it is. Like, I've gotten people that said, oh, even this stage, well, you're just using a stencil to do it. Yeah, I'm using a stencil of my drawing. It's my reference. You know. Like I said, there's always something. See how what that little just did? That little bit of working with that stencil. It just gave me that contrast to work from. Now I get a better sense of depth. Yeah. Now I can take this, I can go here, I can work here. Yep. Yeah, but again, it's not that you don't know what you're talking about either. It's this, even photorealism, there's variations, you know, and even the term copying, it's the context of how you want to use it can sound bad or sound not, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, I'll work from a photo reference and copy portions of it, then I'll add my own spin on it. But the thing is, like, if I work from someone's photo, I'm not going to claim this as my original painting from start to finish that I can sell as my total original. There's always an up and down to it. You know, how much of it remains, or I don't know. This is not probably the place to really discuss it either. You know, but yeah. Yeah, most of the rules are arbitrary anyway. Yeah, and like the pocket graphics are just a tool. They're a tool. And they're a stencil or they're a template. We used to have that nuanced word about template versus stencil. Like, stencil is such a bad word that we use the term template if it wasn't an image. Like, it was just a loose shield, or, you know, a template for doing this. But a stencil is like, here's the stencil of the crab, and it looks like the same crab every time you do it. Even when I did my skull stencils, my 6-pack of skulls, I tried to keep them that where I left enough room people could put their own spin on it. But yeah, this is a great start. Like, I really like where it's going. I really want to plan the hair out a little more and where things are going to go. I just don't, you know, actually I could do this right now to establish it. You can hear me kind of working it through my head as I'm doing this, trying to figure it out without looking like an idiot live. Sometimes it'll come to me like, that's the back. That's his neck, and that's where the mane comes from. So now what I'm going to do is I can kind of put this back into place. And you see how loose this is here? Well, now I can go in and I can carve that mane a little more out of where it's going to be coming from. So now that's the neck catching the light, and that just helps frame it. And the hair will come over the mane a little bit here and there. But that just helps me kind of reshape the neck by working from there. And now I know that things are going to come out of here. But again, this is an hour and 40 minutes. We went from a black panel discussed to this. Now, obviously, I had a lot of work ahead of time, but this is a great place to kind of be. And if you're working on a customer job, this could be a stage where you go to the customer, hey, you like the position, you like the placement before I get too far. I try not to do that too much these days. I find if you give them too much input, sometimes it derails the project. So be picky and choosy about when you get a customer back involved in the design choice. Well, yeah, raw, and that's the problem with AI a lot of times. And this is where you guys are artists coming up. If you get too comfortable doing your concepts in AI, the AI is going to give you stuff that's damn near impossible to pull off with paint in reality, unless you spend 100 hours on it. You know, and you got this 100-hour concept you gave to a client that you got to get $1,000 for. So you got a $10,000 idea that you're only getting paid $1,000 for. You can barely pull it off, even if you spent 100 hours on it. So you got to remember to keep within your skill set too. And this was even when I started using Photoshop for the first time. I'd use like filters and effects. And you show it to a customer, you got to realize you got to be able to paint that now. You gave them the idea by telling them this is what I'm going to do. So what I've done over the years with I keep my concept sketches, you know, I water them down. I make them kind of a little rougher and simpler than I plan to do. And it's that, I don't want to say it's under promise, but it is that kind of under promise, over deliver. So I don't do the my concepts and renderings to a super high level. See this here, like my concept sketch. This is about the most the customer will ever see for approval. I'm not going to go beyond this to the customer. I might do a few renderings that have more detail and structure and placement. The customer's probably not going to see that. That's for me. I'm going to give him this. And he's going to say, oh, it's exactly the idea I always had in my head. Great. I will work out the final details and the overall look. But as long as I stay in this field, in this range, he's happy. So if he's happy with this, when I get to this stage, all this nuanced detail and fire and smoke and bone texture and this and that, and there's more here than there, he's going to be blown away and over the moon. That's the key. You know, let's see. I never get that far in 102 minutes. Thanks. Trying to use candy more. I don't really get it. Just candy is just a transparent that's a little bit bright. That's a little bit more, lets more light through. So, yeah, but it's just, you know, you break it down simple. Yeah, the tattoo industry is really killed by even from other tattoo artists who have beautiful tattoos, and then they're taking the photo of the tattoo all greased up, and it looks great, and then they're going into Photoshop and they're upping the contrast and changing the curves. So it's got more pop and bright. It looks like the damn tattoo's like literally, you know, glowing off the person's skin, which will never look like that in person. It's almost false advertising. But then the problem is that the consumer expects that end result photo is what their tattoo is going to look like on their arm, and they get disappointed. You know, I think that stuff's really, that hyper photo edited tattoo work hurt the tattoo art industry more than on motorcycles, because motorcycles and cars, we put clear coat, and that final image is going to pop in the sun. It's going to have pearl metallic, and it's going to just flash, and it's going to look... Automotive work, cleared and polished, looks way better in person than it does in photos in most cases, even after photo editing. Because you can't have the shimmer and the light reflection in photo editing. You know what I mean? But on the tattooing, man, they look at it and they're like, why does my tattoo look like it does online? Well, it only look like that when it's wet with Vaseline all over it, or not Vaseline, but you know what I mean. And then some photo editing. I give them something completely different from this sketch. It is a lot more fun. We have a few clients. I work with one motorcycle shop, and Steve knows who I'm talking about with the guys at Audio Works. He's got such a great client list that just ultimately trusts him and me to do. So almost the customer only gets like a color input and like a few patterns or a few ideas. They don't see the rest of it until it's done. Like, we've had customers come in and say they want honeycomb design, and we tell them no. They're like, no, but that's what I want. I don't care. We're not doing it. We don't do honeycomb design on bikes. It's played out. It's over. It's overdone. We don't like it anymore. And we just tell them, flat out, we'll give you something better. We know you like that. I'm going to give you something better. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to get too much hair done up here because I need to get this fire brighter before I do all this wispy hair. Okay? So I gotta kind of stay in the mids. I'm just getting this set up. When I come back, I'm gonna push this back with some candies and transparents. Then we're gonna brighten the fire up around the edge, and then we'll go in for the final. But this is how I approach a painting on a black motorcycle or car, and we start bringing it out. Working semi-freehand, working from the pencil sketch, and things like that. So that ear needs to come through here like this and down to the forehead, because anatomy-wise, the actual skull would be here like this. And that's going up, and then the ear. So I'm just sketching. And that guideline can actually help because a little transparency can come through this hair, but not through the skull. That's why I got to get rid of that red right here. Because that was poking through and it wouldn't be. So yeah, I think that's a fun start. Yeah. Where are we at here? Quarter of. Alright, before I get going, anyone got any questions, comments, suggestions? I'd really love some messages on what you guys want to see in 2026. I got some ideas to change some things up. I'd like to start doing more recorded content. So I am thinking at some point in the year, maybe going to like bi-weekly live feeds, like every other week live. Or doing shorter live feeds every week and then getting some recorded content in there with stuff. So I'm open to suggestions, what you guys would like to see more. And I need to find some other time slots to do things in, other than just this one. So please, the members, give me suggestions. And I'm really hoping with YouTube, some of the new features is going to be able to do more for members within. I really should start a Patreon page for all you guys instead of doing here, because we can do different messaging over there. Just, I don't want to manage too much. Yeah. I do gotta look at some anatomy. I want to break down in here what we got going on. Thank you, Mr. Leahy. But I think it's a decent way to kick off the new year. What do you guys think? Let's see here. What do you think? That's a good start. I think that's Great way to kick off and just get things going. And so this was all just done with opaques, no candy washes yet. Just kept it really simple and clean. The next stage after this is established, then I'll start bringing in the candies and the transparents and go from there. So yeah, definitely like, share, subscribe. We've got a lot more members this month than last month, so thank you very much to all the new guys. I think it's 76 people here. We're end of the year at 70. We got 6 more. I'd really like to get up to 100 members. Maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll get one of my paintings or a small painting that we didn't sell. When I get to 100 paid members, maybe let me look into that, because I got to see how out of the paid members, the current paid members, who can win a small painting or print. That's what I'll do. When I get to 100 paid members, I'll do a signed print of one of my works to someone in that 100. So it's win-win. So anyone who's currently here is in on it. We'll get, I think, 24 more. We get to 100 paid members. We'll do a little giveaway, and I'll figure out how to do that. Maybe I'll establish a number for everyone. Yeah, what I'll do is the number 1 through 100 of when they're a member, the length of time. So that'll be the numbers. Then we'll draw a number, and that person will win a print. Then if I get to 200 this year, I'll give away a small, an actual painting for paid members. So that'd be cool. I think that'll be a cool thing. That's a goal this year. 100 and then 200 paid members. And remember, all you guys get 25% off McKay Fine Art. And actually, you guys can test it, because I got it working. Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks.com should go to the same place, because eventually I just want people to go to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks YouTube, Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks store. They'll be the same thing. So McKay Fine Art and Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks.com will go to the same place, and members here with your member code, exclusive code, will get 25% off all digital downloads and other stuff. At 1978. Cool. I will go through the feed, everyone, and yeah. That's I want to thank everyone for joining the first live feed of 2026. I hope you enjoyed the process. I know it started out a little shaky. I'm going to edit that out right now with the sound, but I think we're good to go. Looking forward to finishing this project. And like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. What did someone say earlier? Like, share, subscribe, and get dirty. Got a lot of stuff. We're going to do a lot more this year. So, yeah, and definitely going to do some tabletop mini stuff as well. We got Adepticon coming up. So we got a lot coming this year. We're going to be in Germany this year. We got a big House of Color partnered project coming up. Big. We're doing it's a 42-foot twin engine, twin supercharged. I think they're twin 15 or 1800 horse inboard outboard on a 42-foot boat that we're going to be painting this year. So we got some cool stuff happening. So I'm really looking forward to showing you guys everything this year. Make sure you guys help this channel grow and send me your ideas and comments, suggestions, all that stuff. And all my socials, if you don't have it, where is it? Here we go. Here's all the social media links, so you guys can check all the stuff out. I'll see you all next week. I'll probably do a wrap-up feed. I'm thinking Monday. If not, we'll do it on the normal Thursday night. But keep an eye on the socials. I'll post you all there.